other teams aside from PE that will try to take them down at the same time.
Yeah, good move here by Exo Clan because if they go straight out, PE will be able to shoot them down. So it looks like their plan is like, okay, let's take down PE first before we move in. But little do they know, Kyle is waiting up in this highest peak of the mountain, sees the rotation, has information, his teammates, we can see that going towards Exo Clan and they're stopping by. Looks like we'll see a fight here before the move onto the main peninsula happens.
No silent, nowhere to run, no hide, no rushing in and grab it in. Axo just gonna push and bulldoze themselves in. And that's just within 5 seconds lost, gone, and sitting ducks for the side of one PE player. But PE Namsa want to have a bit of redemption, want a bit of a damage control out of that, but Magic caught himself in hot spot there, leaving CJ and Kaio left, and Kaio not gonna just leave this high ground just yet, but to climb down from there is gonna be a bit of a task for him. CJ tapping out to a side of Axo, not happy his mate being knocked down and finished off just now. Next one gonna be a bit of a try between these two guys. Oh man, and both teams are quite far off from the circle still. The Blues will close in less than a minute. They have to wrap things up and not extend the fight.
Nice tap there with an MK12 from afar. Beautifully landed and managed to get one. But these two teams, they're not done yet though. But at least the good news is that their sniper from PE has to move. So Exo Clan doesn't need to be worried too much about the high ground. Namsel is coming in from the other side, spots out Goose. And looks like it's not going to take the shot just yet. No clear shot thanks to the smokes. At the same time, we can see that Exo Clan, they're moving away, going towards CJ18.
Not done with a PE now. CJ is known for these clutches. He can make it happen, but it's going to be 2v1. He's outnumbered. Going for an exit back out. CJ trying to flee from the senior, playing around these walls, hugging around the corners. Bakus coming in strong and just making sure it's right in the face of none other than the PE players, but Namsa coming from a different angle and trying to wrap around the corners. KO from the high grounds, spot out by Axo. Axo now just put themselves in a death trap, but PE can't be knocked down, leaving only Skukita alive. Trying to revive and give them a bit more offset, but Namsa pushing in slowly. But the Blues are closing as well. KO will be the sacrificial lamb for this. Oh, but at the same time, there's going to be a heavy casualty on both teams.
I hate to break it to these teams, but the circle is nowhere to be seen on this military base island. So that means they need to move. Heading on the force player circle is going to be damaging. The damage is going to be real. Namsel shoots. Namsel gets counterfire upon. Namsel needs to reset quickly. Can he do it in time as Squikita moves and takes him out? And that is going to be it for PE at number 14.
Right now, there's definitely no time. We're talking about Turf Face, definitely going to burn him off quite alive. I hope they have those vehicles parked somewhere else. Right now, they really need a car. They really need those vehicles to keep it going because it's going to be the next island. They have to hop themselves onto it. Not just that, we have Bridge Camper, CF waiting on the other end of the bridge. Well, we have also Panic coming up to a sort of APH. And one call is splitting in 2-2 formation to fight against Gas Can. And it's going to be a full force of Gas Can pushing towards the side of one call. But we do have another visitor coming up from the northern side of Gascan. It's going to be FTF from the future, coming up from the past and now venturing into the present and hoping to stay alive in the future. We'll try to force this fight, splitting, then divided the attention into two parts. And Gascan, how will they pick this fight going on? How do they approach? How will they respond to one call and FTF at the same time?
Oh, look at the current situation. Looks like they need to take that fight. That fight's going to be necessary. Exo Clan, on the other hand, they're just going to drive past by Hugh Hesse's waiting for the right moment as Skukita had to stop. And look at this shoot. They are not within the circle. Hugh Hesse takes down Skukita. One more to go at the bridge.
Sniper rifle, that car 98, making so much work done to open up CF to cut across. Axo have to give it away. They couldn't actually make it in. Down to only Goose to swing over. There's nowhere else to get into this island anymore. Goose have to figure out, with the Blues and closing in, it burning him very much. Gas Can, on the other hand, picking the poison here. It's going to be one call, not fighting FTF. It's kind of pushing forward to the side of Mukau. Got knocked down instead with a nade toss over the side of one goal.
Nice.
Jackson and Nanda, do you want to push and finish off? A double down. Luke have to flee. He has to back and retreat. But Luke burned off by the gas, and the cans is down. The Molly will burn him quite alive, leaving only one player of gas can at the back line. Nico spots out those windows, but he couldn't do too much of a damage there. Have to flee, have to take the vehicle and just get out from here. That's the only way for him to actually stay alive for now.
And Gascan is still without a single elimination point, so he has to get away. But now, one call will make the call for them. They will be taken out at number 12. Now we move over to BNC versus APH, just next to each other without the circle. And now they need to find their way through as PV goes down.
Having any time to reset themselves, leaving Cherry to do all the work here. Sant just making sure he keep the pressure on the side of Cherry and finish off the rest of the members. But one call taking the fight next to the side of FTF. Nandu now smoothing him out. Oh, they're trying to fish them out and flush down this compound right now. A fail flush for now for the FTF team, still holding their fortress. The small fortress they have, the walls are working around the corners. And Jaxie trying to just playing ring around the rosy. Wrap things around their different corner entirely, but man, might want to spawn out. There's gonna be one more nade. Moy just biding his own time here. Last member alive for the side of FTO. Never mind, it's gonna be two of them working as a duo. Jaxie spot one number out.
Oh, to the left.
Gonna brought it down and back up. Oh, the timing was just impeccable for FTF.
There's nothing much that Pusherik can do at that moment unless he clutch it out 1v2. At the same time, he's looking at the circle, 20 more seconds on the clock. FTF resetting themselves, preparing for the next phase of the circle. Pusherit not pushing it just yet. He doesn't have the right information. He needs to get a knockdown at least. Now he knows exactly where they are at, but Pusherit will be pushed back with the nade. Pusherit, can he get one for himself? No, he almost got it, but not good enough.
Retreat, but the member who wants to exit out from the bag is going to be the Blues in closing in. Now, how can Pushrick get himself into the circle safe and sound? I do hope he's just going to hop onto the vehicles, just flee here, but at the same time, the moment he starts the engine, it's going to attract the one call team to just go for the push. He has to deal with by himself for Pushrick. FTF. Not giving any sort of loose end at all. APH coming out from the other end entirely, trying to get himself into the safe zone as well. But more being spotted out by Pushrit. The moment he got himself one knockdown, this is it. For Pushrit is close enough. Slither of health remains, but Pushrit still struggling for his survival here. Playing around the walls. Two more mat kits.
Oh, can you do it quick? Oh no, he wasn't particularly prepared for that, but there wasn't much options for him anyway. But now we move over to the other side of the map. Three teams next to each other. Mira still holding on for his team Trident at this point, but Trident's being shot at from multiple angles. Starlight, Hayase pick up his teammate. Hayase managed to get an elimination onto Jam from Trident, but at the same time the zone is closing. Hayase has to bail his teammates, unfortunately, and move in alone.
Because right now they are the one kind of ham in between. They have this sort of slope over hill, just very small ones to actually play alongside with it. They are in the open road right now. They have their backs bare, handed to the side of the other team, but Trident Miller on the ground being knocked down by XL. They have to worry about 4 Samurais at the back line, splitting into 2-2 formation on the side of 4 Samurais. 4P is there as well. But in the meantime, Trident have to fight against XL. They're not making it easy for them to cross over that road. But Heinz running is back in the blue. Will be knocked down, finished off by Trident. And Trident in the same boat, in the same spot. And 4 Samurais taking the advantage of what's happening instead of Trident, not even giving them any time to reset or recuperate. But 4 Samurais joining with another 4P here. The 4P's pushing to a side of CF on the shoreline. Huge. Have this much to cover himself and buy a bit more time. But he's been surrounded left, right, and center. Nowhere to run.
Oh, you can see all alone and Fleaways. Should have seen him though. Okay, I guess he knows. Yes, there goes the spray, and USC will be taken out. Charm Farmers, number 7.
Trying to just get themselves a bit of an upgrade from the death boxes around them. And 4S versus 4P next. So Fleo is splitting a bit too far off from the rest of the team just to scout their perimeters. But Snow coming up from Trident. Now that's going to be a really tough spot for him to stay alive. The moment he hops out, and it's going to be an open field. Only haystacks in between. Nothing to cover himself. Murayama being knocked down from afar. TNX struggling to run from the blue zone. They got that buggy, but they don't have enough to hop it in. They need to make a big U-turn. Shihorse barely make it in with slither of health remains. They do have smokes to just deploy it over and just cut across those smokes. But will it be enough? We talk about an open field, very flat plain, and only vegetations in between to make themselves into the safe zone, into the circle. Where are the rest of the team? We're waiting for Af to make a move as well. But Snow is just giving away his position. He don't have any choice anymore, just popping off that couple of smokes. But TNS slowly make way towards the other side. Look at how the smokes been deployed. It's a straight line of smoke and making a bridge over it and just going to push over sort of FTF.
And what doesn't help is the road in the middle cutting across the circle. So that's going to be tough for some teams depending on how the circle moves later on. But now focusing on the 10X, they're trying to find their way through. They know that someone's there waiting for them. Speedy being shot at, almost got a 21 health left. Asma needs to reset. Asma being shot at as well. Shoehorse not letting them go easy. Shoehorse trying to find a different angle, but there's not much space to play with. They still need to fight their way through.
Side of TNX, but FTF, they are pretty much walking themselves into that trap as well. 4 Samurai being clipped from afar. Long fights are going on. The moment they got himself a 4 scope, 6 times scope, we know for a fact it's going to be a very long fight. TNX spotted out man, the last remaining survivor coming from FTF, but in the meantime, not much space for him to cover himself. And JO keep pushing on the side of SLI, just going to keep it going. 4S! What is happening? They're knocked down by themselves. Not the best time ever. A small shack. Yes, a shack will cover them for a bit more, but it's the worst timing possible as well.
Yeah, it's not the best of times considering that TNX is just behind them. Unfortunately, they had to jump on the vehicle as well. It was smoked up. But speaking about smoke, smoke's deployed, trying to buy time for themselves. TNX trying to find it difficult. Looks like they can't just rush in. They don't have the right information at the same time. 4P stopping their tracks as Fleeaway gets knocked out of jail.
Opportunity here for 4P is just being the housekeeping team, cleaning up the mess in the center. Rance Fleeaway spot him out. The Mini 14 just trying to find those kills. But it's just so hard to scout them out. Even though it's an open field in between, the Samurais just a venture out in an open field there with a small shack in between. TNX. Asba will revive his teammate. A Vanton coming up from the flank side, trying to go for off angles. APE not being given enough attention right now. 4Ps on the other hand do have full squad alive, but barely having this space to push in just yet. They're waiting for the right time to go in for the rush.
Yeah, that's
separated in between with the street, but Vanton just keep the tags, keep the taps, and Gops finish off one more from the sidelines. Look how they spread over 4 piggies. They definitely have more than confident enough to go for the rush. Still taking in time.
Well, looks like there's not much space to play with as well. Look at the beach on the left side. There's such an open space that teams would normally not play or normally not prioritize. So that means that this area that has a little bit of elevation will be the focal point. Got 4 teams in it. Nate being tossed out onto the other side. Speedy picking up his teammates, but Gobbs on the other end. Gobbs shoots and Asma will be taken out. Looks like TNX, they are still pinned down, but Baby Zio being gunned out for the other side.
Just nowhere for them to run and hide at this point. Everywhere there's somebody watching them out there. Vanton on the other end going punished after multiple times stabbing to the side of the Samurais. Fat is on the ground bleeding out while the rest of them trying to take covers inside of that small shack. Pig is taking reign over this domination of the map control of the circle. Now they want to go for the push. They hop onto their vehicle, slowly going towards, wrapping around the corners to the side of the Samurai, leaving only one player left. Now how will this come out from Murayama? Pig is Gop slowly coming in towards the shack, coming up from the back line as well. There's no way out. This is their game for 4 Piggies. There's no way. They can lose this one out, then that's it. A chicken dinner The 4Ps and the 4S taking it away in the last minute here. A different team entirely taking this chicken dinner on the last day.
Wow. In the previous round, it was Trident who was on page number 2, getting a second place finish. And now it is 4 Piggies, another team on page number 2, netting that chicken dinner. With it talk about teams on page number 2 may just go insane, may just go ballistic, and this is what's happening here. So far so good today for teams on page number 2, with 4P now securing this chicken dinner, the second chicken dinner for today. The line.
When it comes to AAP, they're being eliminated again early on. We're talking about AAP losing their top spot in the start of the day and just losing it 2 maps in a row. Now that's going to be detrimental. We're talking about them being pulled down from the chart slowly but surely. Just now it was like 10-point gap. Right now, I'm not sure how much with it, because Gascan being eliminated early on as well. It's not like too early, but at the same time they were in the middle sort of a game where they kind of got some eliminations still, but we have to wait for these points to show up here to see, is it going to be enough for Gascan to solidify themselves in number 1 spot? Can the others, for example ExoClan has been fighting early on against APH, if I'm not mistaken, was it the first few skirmishes that we witnessed early on? ExoClan, they are striving to make it work. We're talking about them trying to force this fight just to take those number up there with those kills, even though they, you know what, they don't care about those chicken anymore. They want to go for those kills.
Yeah, looking at how their playstyle is, and plus they eliminated the number 1 team for the past couple of days. That is Archangel Predator, so that's a statement there by ExoClan. But would it be enough points for them to catch up to the number 1 spot? Maybe not yet, but they are making progress. So with the talk about the potential of Cinderella story teams, ExoClan may be one of them, considering that Gascan, they didn't do that well in this round. But here are the highlights from the previous round. I mean, it's a lot of action all around, I must say. One happened inside of Novo, and the other on the main peninsula, and it just went all the way to the final circle.
Really challenging for the players. We're talking about extreme circles here in between those 2 islands. Which one will you select? You pick the wrong choice, you make the wrong call from the IGL, the wrong judgment, it's gonna be punishing the entire team. We saw how many teams kind of stuck on the side of SMB or Sonoska military base area on the southern part of the island. It just decided, you know what, the circle just not gonna favor us. It's in between the bridge as well. And the moment they decided to swim, the blue zone's already in. As a case of a Moose team that being gatekeep on the other side of a bridge. And I think that it was CF, if I'm not mistaken, it has been bridge camping the longest time there is there. Just shushing away, like example here, I think it's the clan coming up from southern part still can actually get those eliminations. But when it comes to elimination, the only team that actually got himself a double digit is still going to be 4 Piggies, yeah. But we want to see how will they fare, where will they stand by the end of this map and this round in the overall rankings.
I'm looking over at ExoClan getting 8 points from that round. So 8 points, not enough to overtake the number 1 spot just yet. But for the fact that Gascan and Archangel Predator not picking up any points, of course the gap will be smaller. So we'll be closer. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the following 3 rounds left that we have. And that also means that anything can happen. And nice to see that teams on page number 2 just stepping it up. So 4P, very well done with 21 points. Look at the gap between them and number 2. So it's like what? 19-point gap gathered from this round. That's significant, I must say.
It's a lot. Way too much for one team. And this, I want to see where 4Ps will be standing here right now. They were in one of those teams in the middle bracket here. So they are still on the 10th spot, regardless of how much they actually contributed to the overall ranking just now. They were in the bottom before this and keeping them with a tie with SL. But for now, lucky enough for Gascan, the AAP being eliminated as well as early as they do, then none of them actually gain any points from that point as well. So it's still a 10-point gap in between them, but EXO is chasing the heck out of second and first place. We're talking about the margins getting closer for the side of EXO. It's just like, what, 5 points away from the side of EXO to AAP and just like 15 points in difference. That's going to be just one map enough for EXO to take that number 1 spot anytime here.
Yeah, that could just it could just be one round and they'll overtake the number one. So, but for one call, the gap is quite significant. So I think it's a little bit difficult for them considering how the top teams are doing right now. So I do expect that it's probably going to be between the top three for that number one spot at this point. But again, we did talk about the PGC points mean a lot as well to the teams for their the future of their year's campaign. So they still need to go and fight for it. Even if ONC can get a number 3 spot, stealing it away from whoever, they'll be great still.
One call is still it's all about. I mean, like the gap is a bit too significant and quite big of a gap. The margin is quite large between them and the third place. So we're talking about 30-ish sort of a point that we witnessed just now. But when it comes to the side of Exoclan, it's within reach. And not just that, we're talking about this next map. It's going to be the last Erangel map that is in this finals. And we're done with Erangel after that the entire day. Because heading next, it's going to be after this map, the fourth map will be starting off in Marama, which is going to be entirely different terrain, entirely different sort of a vibe. You do know for a fact you have to adjust within seconds for these guys. They don't have a rest. We're not having any breaks in between these games. We're just going to go all out rumbling all day, and it's going to be really challenging to rumble for these guys as well. We're talking about can they still stay at number one? Who will get number one spot? I'm loving how we're down to the last wire to see who will take away that slot for the PGS in the future.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And plus, this is, of course, called the Challenger Rumble for a reason. So it's definitely a rumble of a challenge for these teams. And my, oh my. It's always fun to see, like, if until the last map, like, we don't have a clear winner. So teams will really fight it through, and it's always fun to see that. So hopefully we get to see that kind of action for, of course, entertainment purposes. And looking at how the overall chart is shaped, it's still heading that way. And speaking about heading, we are not going to waste any time, Chuchu. We are jumping straight into game number 3, which will be the last Erangel map for PUBG Challenger Rumble Season 1.
You know what? To make it faster, we're not jumping anymore. We are flying straight and just taking a jet straight flying into the side of Erangel. We're not wasting any second here. And not just that, it's going to be the last one. It's going to be everything that you love about Erangel. This last map, for the teams that love Erangel so much, this is their last time to make it work. And lucky enough, we're having a flight path that's very generous, almost splitting the map into 2 parts evenly. Closing off, still favoring towards the southern part just a tiny bit, but there's a dropping. If the circle happens to be on the northern side, that's going to be a bit of a trouble for them again.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of that yesterday, right? So let's see if it happens again today. So at least a general flight path to begin with, but what's going to be important is the circle, of course. And looking at how the teams are dropping this time around, military base isn't the focus. Only one team is our military base, and that's going to be 4S. So they're going to have the entire island for themselves. But it's going to be interesting around the areas of school. We might see a clash there. I'm looking at the Medusa intersection as well. Looks pretty interesting. Archangel Predator is switching it up and dropping around the areas of Gatka. So they're going to switch up their strategy this time. Of course, what's going to be important is going to be the circle. I can't wait to see how it's going to be. But Panic Esports taking a couple of shots. No one's knocked down yet. Everyone's still A-OK.
Of a hot drop, but this circle today for Erangel just favors on the right side of the map heavily. Still comprises of both, barely on the southern part of the island. But you know what? The hardship can be just punishing sometimes. It's down to the players whether they want to take the southern part, or those actually in the small island can take their own time to get into a bit of a late rotation. Just take it slow, take it as calm as they want, and just relax themselves and get into the circle when they need it to. But on the side of, you mentioned about the Medusa intersection, especially the school area, there's always a fight over there. There's always going to be more than one team to take over that compound and trying to fight and rumble it over. But on the side of Gascan, they're taking their own time to actually take out all the loots that they can now. For you, Cloud, right now, which team do you think is going to go crazy and reckless for the next one? Looking at the second page, teams start to rise up to the occasion and moving more proactively and being aggressive today.
Wow, I mean, I want to see like Aurora and Chicha really stepping it up. We have 3 more rounds to go. Hopefully they'll be able to do so. So far the record's not that good for them because if we look at their trend is like 1 kill, 2 kills, 3 at most maybe, 4 at most in certain rounds. But the majority of it is like 1 and 2. So I hope that they'll be able to step it up and bring a surprise to all the teams. Let's go page 2.
I do want to see the same thing here. But we have to wait if they want to go for the rotation that we're hoping for them to actually go for. 4Ps just got himself a last chicken in, and that's definitely will actually push the adrenaline rush to the max. So we're talking about setting the tone for today. You mentioned it earlier today about setting the tone up. It feels like our top contender of 1st, 2nd place not setting any sort of a tone just yet. Yes, Gascan, they actually secure their chicken, but it feels like hot and cold for them today. 1 minute you're at the top and the next minute you're down there at the bottom. Just so hard for them to actually maintain that consistency with so many targets behind their back. We're talking about the teams that are trying to take them down and just proving, you know what, we're not going to make things easy for you. You might actually get yourself that number 1 spot, but the gap in between the margins will not be as large as we thought it would be.
Yeah, it's not as big. Considering that our Angel Predator, yes, they had a good run, but they're dropping a little bit today for their first 2 rounds. So that's why we can see some teams starting to catch up, especially for Gascan. But Exo Clan as well, don't look down upon them. So keep your eye on these 3 teams at the top. But will be also nice to see like page number 2 teams. Well, we have 3 more chicken dinner slots. Hopefully, well, not every team can go back with a chicken dinner at this point. So hopefully we get to see like Aurora, Chicha. At least they still get something for themselves.
Team that haven't got themselves that banner chicken dinner yet, but Rams being spotted out from afar. The long shots coming in. Really painful at his receiving end right now. I've used that health kit quite swiftly. Lucky enough, he secured himself quite a number of it. But for TNX now, TNX is one team that I love to see when it comes to early games. They are the teams that love to, you know, just nitpicking everyone and force the fight. But today they have been a bit quiet early on. I mean, like they have been playing very safe, very conservative, not their usual self.
Yeah, it's a little bit different for them, considering that if we talk about like page 2 teams, they are one of the top teams that managed to get a good number of kills. So it's a little bit of a change of tone for them today. Probably a different strategy. Not too sure what they're thinking of. But I guess it's also affected by the flight path. Like what you mentioned, the flight path is kind of nice for these teams so they can get into their spots nicely without clashing into other teams too early on. So that's why everyone's like, okay, we're still 64 alive, so we might as well play a little bit of a chill pill. Unless we see that the feed goes wow, then maybe they'll be like, okay, it's time to take fights because possibility of us getting higher placement points are a little bit better from there. And so far, I guess the number 64 is just it's just making all these teams just play a little bit more passive and chill.
I think due to the last Erangel, they want to make the best out of it. That's one of the reasons. And at the same time, it feels like everybody... it's within their reach for the flight path. So everybody can drop their initial drop spot they've been planning beforehand. It feels like everybody respecting those territories, not so much anymore as PE. CJ always make the opening for the team here, making us super excited about what they have to offer to us. And it's a treat to actually finally see a first blood taking on the Panic Dusky down. For CJ, he wants to go for more, but there's nothing else left to see. There's a lot of teams. Never mind, Aura. You mentioned about them. Things not going great again for them as a start for our last Erangel here.
Okay, KD clearly saw that from the future. He was anticipating that move and taking one player from Aurora. That was a little bit unfortunate for them. Hopefully with playing as a trio, well, we've seen it before. Playing as a trio, you still can get something out of this round. Maybe even a chicken dinner. So not the moment for them to give up just yet. 4P on the other hand did very well in the previous round. So they'll be okay into the circle. But I'm still looking at Aurora and Chicha. Come on, guys. But Suspect sees one, takes one down, and that's going to be another point in the bag for Panic Esports.
bit of trading to do. They're taking back what Rams have to offer. A 1-to-1 trade between themselves here. But Panic secures back that one trading they lost early on. But TNX Speedy. You know what? I saw that 4 piggies in one car, one vehicle, right? Remind me of piggies and blanket for no reason.
I know what you're thinking. We've seen that before. That's always scary, but oh, it's scary for M0 as well. 1v3, let's go.
M0 is known for his solo clutch. He might just do this again. There's gonna be one call trying to fish him out and flush him down. But Zero knows exactly where to see, but at the same time, he's not having it enough. He got himself those bombs, those hand grenade, but Speedy will actually give him the support from the back line. Oswald coming out from the flank. They wrap things around here, different corners entirely. Shios coming in from the left side as well. Nandu now have to be more than aware. They are walking straight into a trap set up by the side of TNX, but PE taking this matter into their hands as advantage. Just taking it away, those kills points from backline. Asba trying to give support fire from a long distance. But in the meantime, it's going to be a 3-way war. It's not just one team fighting against another. CJ splitting from the rest of them quite far apart, taking this like a no problem.
Yeah, they got some help from CJ there, so a little bit of a luck for them. And they should be able to recover themselves. Unfortunately, they will lose one. There's another one on the other building, but M0 should be able to get across. Oh, Asma's there anyway. Oh, they still maintain a full squad, so they're A-OK for now. So thanks to CJ, although CJ will be happy to take those points, no doubt. But it's of course thanks to CJ, TNX still survives.
CJ, I'm not sure what his plans are, but he's definitely want to go for the kills. But at the same time, his teammates are not there just yet, and Panic is closing in the distance between them. Suspect is there. There's no clue. Straight into it. There was a beautiful, crispy spray coming up from CJ. He didn't even whiff it.
That was as clean as not my room. That was amazing. My goodness.
Not your room.
Yeah, I had to highlight. Not my room.
It was a remarkable
so clean.
spray.
My
It's
goodness.
just a remarkable spray. He's formidable player, CJ. He got himself that whole package. This individual can just go against the entire team by himself. He clutched so much yesterday. He's doing it again today with a good start right now. But TNX just happened to be having a bit of a tap to its island. We do have 4Ps coming in very late. Like we mentioned before, they're coming out from Novo, just unfolding things as they go. But Gas Can, on the other hand, they're taking a longer rotation, just crossing towards the side of school, coming up from the northern side. But AAP is having the same mindset as they do. Now, this is going to be super interesting as Axo is in between them. They might actually having a 3-way war up there on the northern side. All 3 teams up there are the top contenders for #1 spot right now.
Yeah, we can see a big rotation there by Gascan. They're trying to avoid all these early fights. Speaking of early fights, unfortunately, one will go down. Not one, but look at the elimination feed. It's going crazy. Chicha Gaming, the last team in the overall charts being eliminated. Looks like I'll be looking at Aurora then.
Have so many teams around this corner. Axo will be challenged by APA. JO just crossing to the side of the cross of Goose. And this is Goose we're talking about. He will take whatever that moves and just try to shoot it down. He knows exactly where JO is. Now it's Goose. He's gonna go for it. He's just gonna commit himself to it. But at the same time, he has to be more than aware for the fact that it's not gonna be just this team. He cannot tunnel his vision down to the side of just JO, because there's so many teams around him there somewhere, including Gascan, who just arrived on top of the crosshair of Vaxo clan. Now, Nikos will try to challenge out of this compound, but Nikos driving straight into the doors of Vaxo clan. Have to make a bit of a U-turn. AAP on the other side as well. They had the gunfire shot just now. That's the cue for them to actually move their attention straight towards whatever those shots coming out from.
Ooh, Kang, the conqueror. Not conquering on the Gas Clan just yet, But if they have a good amount of nades, they can toss it into the ditch. But so far, not going to make those big moves just yet. Probably not that necessary for now, considering that they are in the inner part of the circle, depending on how the next bit of circle goes. But the first nade will be tossed on, not into the ditches yet. So gas can, they still survive, but their position has been compromised though. Nikos is leaving this ditch. His teammate has a vehicle of his own, so they'll be rendezvousing back.
Where to go? They're so surrounded right now. The 4Ps just gonna play themselves alongside this terrain. The slope and the side of the hill is just gonna make such a huge work for them. PE put out 4S, but there's 4P in between. It's gonna be PE KO trying to go for the flank side. Man on the other hand, put out Paradox. They have no clue he's lurking around this corner somewhere. Man, hoping that it will clip. This gives away his position so much. Just gonna back away for now. He knows for a fact it will not land on anybody on that grenade. But after F, just widely spread apart amongst themselves. A bit of a very risky play, but it's gonna be worth it. It's all about their timing to close into this fight. They were back into the woods, but the circle just shrinks even furthermore. It's gonna be right on top of this Medusa intersection.
Oh, and look at this, Choo. It's going to be a long rotation here for Archangel Predator. They're still up north. And there's Trident waiting for them. It could be Exo Clan as well, depending on which route do they take. So it's not going to be an easy move for them. But on the other hand, Gas Can as well on the outside of the circle, while being overlooked at by APH on the high ground.
Got the compound, but the compound will not work this time. It's not going to be the same sort of strategy in the last match just now in the last map. CF, Axo now closing in the distance between Gascan and the rest of the other teams. They have to make a move for Gascan, but Big Boy Mecha, the IGL for the side of CF, Charm Farmers, being charmed by the existence and also the presence of Axo. Clan Kang now pushing forward with the rest of the team, going in as a front liner. Skukita will actually give the support from the back line as well. Now Goose coming in, still struggling with that vehicle, trying to park himself. They're widely spread apart, coming up from Maxo into 2-2 formation. But Ryu spot out Kang. They have to be more than aware. Should be really going back. Pull back all the way for retreat there. Kang in a very, very predicament situation. Ryu on the other hand, keep the pressure on. The rest of the Axo clan is here right now, alongside with Skukita and Kang. But Big Boy Mecha got himself a bit of space to reset himself and have it another go. Now the problem is they don't want to fight this anymore because they know for a fact they're way so much far from the circle still, so have to make their way into it. Same goes for Gascan side.
Ooh, Gascan, great shot. Where's he gonna go? PE's waiting for him. Everywhere's occupied. He turns left, he turns right, and no, looks like a punctured tire. Great shot, gotta get away soon. The good news is that they're currently in the circle. They'll take this high ground for now. They'll be happy with it, but another team is closing in. So they need to be prepared. They need to take the right position quickly.
Tire and smoke up buggy. He needs to leave. He needs to find for another because he might clash with CF for the next one. Who's having a go against APH, but where to turn? Oh my god, Greg! You need to find yourself a space! But there's no space for these guys! They kind of clumped up in between it with Exo climbing up those hills, closing in, and Kang and Skukita might spot Greg out. Oh, he got himself into UAZ or something in between. I'm not sure if they do have vehicle park around there somewhere, but Gas Can, they're kind of stuck within all these teams out there. CF, spot out Kang again maybe. But APH just finished off. Big Boy Mucker from the back line. The Blues are closing in as well. 4Ps park himself quite safely across that rope, but not safe enough for that much longer. Skukita been knocked down by the side of Gas from that distance. Kang, the last remaining survivor inside of Axo. There's so much problem inside of Axo as well. They're surrounded everywhere, left, right, and center. You can see bullets shooting through.
Yes, just look at this. Bullets everywhere, like what you mentioned. Where are they going to go? Okay, great shot. They're going to take a little bit of a risk, just going in straight, passing by a couple of teams. Hopefully they'll be able to survive this. Great shot, praying that they'll be able to evade all the bullets, and finally they have arrived and the smoke will be popped out, and that is it. That's going to be the place where they're going to reset the sun. Nico's been shot up, but it should be okay for him to be picked up by his teammates.
Shaq just to recuperate himself just a tiny bit of a time with the smoke cover them. The moment the smoke dissipates, it's going to be a hell break loose for them. They have to get out here immediately before the smoke dissipates. But we do have PE waiting in around the corner. SL closing in. They spotted out Gascan just now. We do have AAP playing alongside of a hill with Aura on top of those elevations, but they are still not in the circle. Same goes for FTF. SL and AAP feels like the bunker is being shared right now. Axo making a move to a side of a 4-piece right now, making themselves visible for all the teams out there, right in the plain sight. Across this Medusa intersection, where 4-piece been waiting on in the pits. And Clear Ways, the 4-piggies being eliminated next. Same goes for Exo Clan. 2 teams back to back into the lobby, leaving on the 12 teams left here. 40 alive.
APA is coming in, Action PH, but Exo Clan managed to defend that area. Exo Clan now has 8 elimination points, 1 in defense. Coming in for Exo Clan, switching from an offense to a defense. That was beautiful, nicely done by them.
Making 4-piggies compound to work around this area. Within this vicinity, if they hold their grounds, they're going to be at. It's going to be a perfect place for them to farm those kills. But at the same time, there's not much cover to play alongside with them. Aura and Ahachi just finish off each other. This bunker is going to be one of the places there might be their own trap they're walking themselves into. Milko, on the other hand, just going to slowly push forward in the tunnel of this bunkers. Try to make at the other end and make an exit out. But at the same time, the more they stay here, the more problem they actually have to face. Look at how many teams surrounding them right now. Gascan on the other end, or just across the road. We have SL still behind it somewhere. And there's also Trident appear out of nowhere now arrived. FTF taking a fight against AAP. The moment they step out from the bunkers, they're just gonna pin them down. Close. This is just freely given away to the side of FTF right now.
Oh, they're going in. It's going to be our Asia Predator going in on the defense. KDR from a long way shot. KDR shot it from side. He doesn't know what hit him. And now, looks like Moy will need to come in. And you need to clean them up quickly. Nat is still alive. Moy will take them out. Archangel Predator number 11.
Reset and have another go, and they don't have that much time. The Blues will close in less than 30 seconds. While the side of 4 Samurai spraying over the side of a Charm Farmers, leaving only Invis alone. TNX coming up from a Rue side, M0, and also Asbar. Rue is on top of that hill. 4 Samurai closing in, compressing that site. But we have a response come out from Rue. Charm Farmers will try to retaliate. Murayama next. Rue, everything, he has to work this by himself for now. Xavier is quite split out from afar, a bit far from him. Not that too far, but he's inside of his shack right now. Thadia 4 Samurai spotted out Rue. Toss out the nade, but will not clip for now. Bit off angle. Tossing another one, trying to hope and pray it will clip onto somebody at this moment, but they couldn't get it done. They want to push forward, want to commit to it, but it's too much of a risk.
Oh, here we go.
And Charm Farmers Rue responds again, but still got clipped down. It's going to be a trade to be done here. As Charm Farmers being eliminated next, we're down to 9.
Oh, at this point, Exo Clan, they are still in this. And Gascan as well. So our top few teams are still in. Our Angel Predator, they'll be in trouble when it comes to the overall charts. Now Trident is moving in, and Aura is waiting for them on the other side. But are they able to get through? Doesn't this vehicle block their routes? I think so. I don't think they can get through though.
They can climb
up.
They
can?
They can just
there we go.
It. But the problem is, the moment they step out from this bunkers, both teams will not survive. Look at how crowded it is the moment you make an exit out. No, make a big U-turn. That nade will actually just reflecting back to his face. Mercury just guarding over with a UAZ, making sure they cannot make it out. We're just gonna sit this quietly inside in this UAZ right now. They want to drive by, but the problem is, can they make it out alive? Snow still contemplating whether to go in or not. They have to make an exit. They're just barely at the edge of this circle as well. Same goes for Milko. They're in the same boat for both teams.
Well, Milko still has the troubles to use, so a little bit of an advantage to him. Now checking out the circle, looks like it's going to still be onto Gascan. Still in the middle of the circle. They are blessed by Lady Luck in this round as well, but now can't say the same for 4S as well as TNX, just next to each other. They need to fight. And 4X will need to fight their way through as well. Not going to be an easy entry for them, considering that their opponent is still a full squad.
The other hand has been hiding themselves so well. Nobody actually spotted him up just yet. I'm not sure about Namsel though. PE and CJ. Namsel and CJ quite split it into two sides. Differently, working different angles entirely. With Trident in between here. CJ being spotted out. 4 Samurais. Having full vision towards the side of TNX right now. They have to cut across TNX to make it through. But how? With trees in between them. And just covers with themselves. Oh, that's the vehicles. There's going to be one shot to knock down that. That's going to be a headshot as well. Breaking those helmets down. TNX asked by M0 working as a duo to push and committed to the side of 4 Samurai. This duo will work so much and punish the side of 4 Samurai heavily. Just some will be knocked down, leaving only Fuddy is there to actually help him up with the other teammate just gonna flee. And Starlight be eliminated next out of nowhere. Murayama just driving back here, trying to give extra hand, but straight on the ground. She-Horse coming out with a different angle, coming out from the flank side. They're giving such pressure as the Samurais. Just being choked at this point.
Oh, and look at this, Chuchu. Exo Clan already got 10 elimination points. Doing well so far, and they still have the circle. Right now, Tenex needs to fight. And they're not done yet still. But Tenex, they have the circle advantage against 4S. 4S now forced to move, and 4S will be eliminated at number 6. It's going to be 5 elimination points for Mr. CJ himself.
Yav has been quite far ahead and picking the fight to the side of Speedy, who's holding this angle against FTF by himself alone. The entire squad against Speedy only. But for this side of CJ, it's a bit too much of a distance for him to recover his teammate. But for Man, there's no way he can actually make it out alive. As Gascan taking this advantage with those pixel shot, taking it easily. Nico's not breaking any sweat. They're taking this shack to their full potential. Very small space, but big impact coming up from Gascan.
Yeah, definitely big because they're in a good position. Just look at the road that's separating a couple of teams on the other side. They'll need to get through Gascan. So Gascan can play the gatekeeping role despite them only playing with a couple of members, but now putting focus on the PE. PE will get another one. Exo Clan will be eliminated, but they managed to secure 10 elimination points. Fairly decent in this round.
They got the circle for Gascan. It feels like they are back and bouncing back up and forth. Last map, they got eliminated early. This one, they want to finish off the last Rengar with a bang. But can they hold themselves in that small shack the longest? As long as they can and possibly will be. But back to the side of PE, they're playing around the slopes of a hill, but they are quite far. They have to cross an open street. And I'm not sure how much smokes they have left. They do have the vehicles that definitely got some smokes in that box certain somewhere. But for TNX side, they're taking the reign over this sort of elevation. They take the playing fields. They're taking this elevation to work. They can see through the small windows of that shack. For Gascan still holding this compound. But PE, the moment they pop themselves up here, is just giving away freely for TNX to actually have their crosshair down tunneling to the side of PE right now.
Looks like they're going to take this risk with the smoked up vehicle. CJ is going to move. Where's CJ going to go? He's going to try and go from the northern side into the circle. That's their best bet rather than going straight up in. So they can still play by the left side, but they need to create a bunker maybe. Gascan still around the corner. Gascan knows exactly where they are, preparing those throwables. They're going to toss it out to CJ. CJ might be in trouble here. CJ evades the first one, but down to 50% health the second. The third one, the fourth one will be thrown onto them. CJ now super low, and looks like his teammate Nanzel will be knocked down. CJ will need to back up. He's almost taken out as well, but he managed to reset himself.
other side. They have to switch over their attention toward the other side entirely. But Nikos will keep the tabs over to the side of PE right now. But he's got himself slid out of hell, got himself a bit of a reset. But grabbing shot down, M0, a bit of trading with TNX. Gascan being surrounded left, right, center. They will wrap around, and it's going to be a bit of a problem. Jashak will not hold them much longer as Nikos slither of hell finished off by the side of TNX. That saved PE the hell out of them in the last minute. But at the same time, there's no time. PE needs to get out. There's no vehicle for them. It's an open field. Osmar got himself elevation. He can see through where Noms and CJ is. They cannot leave the smokes.
Yeah, and to next they have a good position. They have secured the entire perimeter. They have someone on the high ground. They have someone in the middle. Pretty much PE doesn't have anywhere to move. The circle will force them to move anyway in 41 more seconds, and TNX, they know they have this in the bag.
What a running amok right now. And Osbar quicking up the nade. Feels like a perfect angle. It might actually drop another time on Xiao. There you go, the knocks. Here comes the rush. They want to go everywhere, every angle possible. Osbar pushing into a side of CJ. In a certain and confident enough, TNX definitely closed and wrapped things up very clean, very swift, and a very fashion manner as well with that chicken dinner. TNX, the team that love early skirmishes, now finish off with a clean execution as well.
Ooh, to next, another team from the bottom half getting a chicken dinner. Today is like the day of second page teams. That's great. Looking good so far for them. And this is the first chicken dinner in the PUBG Challenger Rumble Season 1. So congratulations for them getting this poster on the board. But now we'll need to wait and see again. We need to tabulate the scores again. Archangel Predator, first of the top 3 to be eliminated. So pretty much down to Gascan and ExoClan in this round. But looking at the gap, Gascan might still be on top. But ExoClan definitely, they have shrunk the margin, the gap between them and number 1.
Should be taken over by ExoClan? That's a bigger question. Because yeah, they actually kind of survived longer, yes, but at the same time, I do want to know how much ExoClan managed to finish up with those kills. So, because they have been run and gun since the start, right? For ExoClan, they're just gonna go for the kills. They just aim for one thing. It's gonna be those elimination points, those kill points that's gonna work for them. They don't care for anything else. But on the side of Gascan, aside that everything was kind of against their odds just now, they still make way into those very small shacks. It works wonderfully well for them. We're talking about Gascan kind of stuck in between. There's so many teams in between them, but they managed to make themselves invisible at certain spots. They managed to actually stay quiet for a bit, that every other team didn't actually have didn't put enough attention to their side, and that just giving them so much of that survival time, definitely give them so much ranking point as well. But for the side of TNX, feels like it's going to be tough for them. They were like 4 PKs before, coming up from the second page, now slowly pushing up towards the middle bracket. But when it comes to AAP, we have to consider about AAP at this point as well. They're being eliminated quite early on. We're talking about them on the northern side. Both 3 teams are actually getting themselves in the top 3. Were in a war early on the northern side.
Yep. So very interesting though. This round, you kind of think about it. Like the northern side was really packed with teams. Trying to get into it wasn't easy. So I think the focal point was that. Maybe because of the flight path as well. The flight path was nice, so teams can kind of spread out across the map. And the last we saw the drops was that there was only 1 team inside military base. So that means that there are more teams on the main peninsula or maybe even on the northern side. Hence, when teams start to move, they will meet up against those key areas. So that was pretty interesting start though. But it's also another action-packed round. I think all 3 rounds that we've seen today, a lot of action. Even our highlights can tell the story.
True. Ended up right on top of that Medusa intersection. So many heals in between there, and so many dedications in between, and not much of a compound play alongside for these guys. It's really a tough one, but they make it work for them. And coming up from PE, they have to be thankful so much for TNX to save the heck out of them. If it's not because of TNX pushing in, I think PE is done and dusted for, because Gasca were planning to actually push over there. But the moment you're trying to decide to push into a side of PE, the moment Nams are being knocked down, that's the time where TNX actually just happen to be there at the same time. But from that, taken up from the chart as well, TNX got 14 elimination. But look at EXO, that 10 point of elimination, just 1 point difference. Even though Gascan got themselves sort of an okay spot in the top 3, but it's not enough for them to actually push up there. Now, where do the EXO clan will actually stand in the overall rankings by end of this map?
Ooh, okay. I would think that it is still number 3 based on my rough calculation, but the gap is still not too far. What's of course worrying is that for Archangel Predator they didn't get anything, but okay. So number 2, okay, so that's because Archangel Predator didn't get anything, right? So now it's a 10-point gap between them and Gascat. Oh my goodness, 2 more rounds, and it only takes 1 round for EXO-Clan to take over Gascat.
It's just 10-point difference. It feels like they're literally standing in the AAP spot previously, before we start our last day here today. That 10 points gap is still there, and Gascan just so closely being chased behind. Like, EXO is just so closely behind them. But for the side of AAP, that's still not too big of a gap, despite that they actually still didn't gain. I think they just managed to secure 1 point just now, because they're starting off at 173 or 171 early on. But it's still a reachable gap for them to finish off with those Miramar. We're talking about Miramar next, but Erangel, it's done and dusted. I mean, like, that's it for these guys. There's no more chances in Erangel, and this is their last chance to prove themselves for AAP that they are worthy to be in the Global Series in the last minute.
Yeah, 2 more rounds to go. I mean, we're starting to see that gap right between them and number 1, but hey, if EXO-Clan can do that, right, like climb up from where they were before this and now they're number 2, I mean, nothing's impossible, so anything can still happen. And plus, we have seen our Angel Predator getting a 16 elimination with a chicken dinner, even 15. We got a couple of 15s as well from them, so they are capable of doing that. But it looks like the other teams are stepping up, and it's unfortunate that for Archangel Predator, for at least 2 rounds in the 3 rounds that we have seen, the moment they drop, there's another team in the same compound. So that's not the start that they would have wanted. They got knocked down first, and the rest was just history. But yeah, I mean, if they want a chance to go up, hopefully they'll be able to drop somewhere that they can get a good start at least.
We don't have any downtime. Who needs a break? Because everything is on fire right now. As you're gonna walk straight into our 4th map of the day, it's gonna be Miramar. And speaking of that, Cloud, I mean, like, if EXO-Clan did secure that number 1 spot in the last 2 maps here, it just gonna devastate the fans so much, because we're talking about Gascan, the teams coming up from NA, now playing in Oceania, playing in Southeast Asia for the Challengers Rumble. Used to be a PGC team, now be taken down by the side of EXO. Now that's a big statement. And not just one of the best in South Asia for AAP as well. EXO-Clan coming in very strong, pushing their last push. It's just so impactful.
Yeah, if that happens, then Kang can definitely change his name to Kang the Conqueror for sure. Finally, it justifies him. Okay, just looking at the early drop, so looks like let's see, EXO-Clan is going to be okay. Archangel Predator dropping onto probably the high grounds or even inside Chumacera itself, not contested, so that's fine. Gas can around the ears of Power Grid, so not contested. But so at least our top 3 teams, they're doing okay as a start. So, but I'm kind of worried for the left side. So we got a couple of overlaps there. La Drilera, we got like at least 2 teams. So that will be kind of interesting to see what's going to happen there.
Our AAP being spreading himself quite wide on top of Chumacera as well. But so far, nothing too much of a hot spot or hot drop between these teams. Not too much of a clash. But for the side of Panic and CG, feels like they are parting ways as well, as Panic will actually drive downwards towards Valdemar. Still waiting now, the circle pops. It happens to be right on top of Hacienda. Now it feels like slightly similar to yesterday's circle. We did actually do have this sort of circle in the last map of Rama yesterday. But for the other team so far, it's still kind enough for these guys to get into in any sort of angle possible. We're talking about a very generous circle in the center, so they can come in from the northern side, west, east, south. Everywhere is within their reach, within a possibility to get an entry.
And this kind of circle is kind to Gascan again. I mean, they have been getting kind circles for themselves. And with the style of this circle, because they drop inside a power grid, they can go up to the high grounds of power grid, make that their checkpoint. Teams would normally make those rotations on those roads just below them so they get information, they can take early shots. So it's currently the best case scenario among the top 3 teams for Gascan and where they drop that. And that's sometimes the advantage of you dropping in the middle of the map.
To the circle still. We saw how many games today, like you mentioned about Gascan. When it comes to last circle, they always know how to read it out. It just shows how much dedication, how disciplined these players are when it comes to scrims and their practices to read out those patterns of the circle, which is so hard to predict these days because how chaotic it can get for the circles to be read out. Sometimes you predicted it's going to be on the main island or in the bigger place or bigger space that we always mention. But it's always ended up on this unusual spots that nobody wants to be in. But so far for the start of EXO, I'm loving this team so much. I'm a big fan of them right now. I love how they force a fight, how they work as a unit to organize a sort of a push, to recuperate and how to defend themselves. They just work so well in unison. But for the other teams on the other hand, we still have a bit of a glimpse from Trident here and there. On the side of Panic, it has been a bit quiet from them. We haven't seen a lot of sort of explosive game that like how they did yesterday. It's relatively calm for them today. I'm not sure what their plans are, but it feels like they're reserving them a bit more than yesterday. Maybe a bit cautious, treading on thin ice, being a bit more careful today for the last day. But it feels like it's not themselves here.
Yeah, there's something lacking definitely. So, but we did talk about like sort of factors, like maybe I just put in sort of factors, right? So the bottom teams or the page 2 teams, they're stepping it up. We did see that Tinex, 4P get a chicken dinner, and even teams like Trident getting a second place. But okay. So looks like action's not stopping in this round. Namsiao gets the first one to Rems. Is his teammates gonna come? His teammates on the high ground. If they want to come, they gotta do it fast. But with PE moving in onto Rems, Rems is out.
Drove himself straight in a straight line into the compound. Just now was definitely the death for the side of Rems. I mean, like Jo. Interesting. Not from same team there. But Gascan taking on 4Ps. He got his bit splitted a bit of a distance between him and his teammate. Vanton spotted out some players of Gascan across him. Got himself this minivan. A bit slower than usual, but it will work for the barriers. With 4Ps just spreading it so wide right now.
Ooh, yeah, 4P. With that, they will lose Gops. But here's the thing, right? So we did talk about Gascan's position because of their initial drop inside a power grid. Definitely, they'll take the high grounds around it. And that is a good move for Gascan. They managed to secure 1 elimination point. Their opponents weren't ready for it. They passed by, they wanted to scout, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to go up against that level of a high ground because your opponent definitely will see you first, even though if you're there to do the scouting work. And sometimes it's just a scouter just overextending their position, and they got punished for it. But for Gascan, with that point collected, our Angel Predator, EXO Clan will be looking at it and saying that we gotta step up our game too.
At least for consolation, at least they gathered some intel. Somebody there, not to go out there again. Yeah, they're greeting Gascan just how like Gascan greeted the other teams just now. Coming up from the backline, a bit of trading to do, 1 knockdown. Man on the other end trying to finish off. Cow. Moo Cow. finish off straight away. It's going to be 1-1 trade for each team. Got themselves 1 point each, but Gascan do have extra because they've been fighting a different team entirely straight off the bat. But Greg shot around this corner, around this terrain. It's so hard to land those shots unless you got yourself on a higher grounds. This is already in the middle ground. You need to climb up more. But at the same time, it's too risky to do so. You have no sort of information. Where are the rest of FTF right now? To climb up, you have to clear the corners, but there's so much corner around this area.
Yeah, probably right now it's not going to be worth it for them since they already got that information that someone's up there. So to challenge it, it's still the first player circle. So that means that you still have a lot of space to play with. You can consider to go to a lot of other parts in the same area, even on the high ground on just the slightly southern side of where they are playing right now. It should be a decent place as well. So I don't think they really need to force the fight for now. So as long as they can get one of those key positions, that's going to be okay for them.
For Trident, just happily being a good Samaritan, just gonna drive on top of the street, right? Because they're just gonna follow as civil as they can get. But never mind, they make a big